Hey, 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 how we doing today? Hey, Motives, how are we? I am doing great. And today we are going to talk about perception. Lord, perception. I could talk about this day in and day out. As always, I always have a quote for you. So this week, John Lennon said, "The more I see, the less I know for sure." And I think that this goes perfectly with the topic this week. So let's get right into it. What is perception? So perception is a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, and it's looked at as a mental impression. So there are different components of perception that collectively determines how someone will act or not act in certain situations. So a perception, it could be influenced by motivational state, emotional state, and experience. The perceiver can ignorantly choose to only see it from their perception, even though the stimulus acts on their stimulus. This is also called perceptual defense. So they can know that everything around them is saying one thing, but because of their perception, they still refuse to look at it that way. Now, another component of perception is target, and that's an object of perception. And basically, it's whatever is being perceived, the amount of info absorbed by the sensory organs, and it affects the interpretation and understanding about target. So automatically, if I see a certain thing, it might trigger me, fight or flight, stuff like that. Now we also have the situation, and the situation is the environment, timing, and intensity of stimulation, and also affects the process of perception. If only a single stimulus is stimulated, it may be just that stimulus and has no need for brain interruption or interpretation, I should say. Now, if the stimulus is ambiguous, it can be transduced into one or several percepts, which in turn is called multi-stable perception. So the perfect example is someone who is horrified of dogs. And because they were bitten by one as a kid, every time they see a dog, that's all they think. The dog is going to bite me. The dog is going to bite me. Even though they might have been around particular dogs several times, the dog is friendly. That dog is not like that, but automatically all dogs are classified by that experience that they had as a kid being bitten. Another is someone being terrified by big bodies of water because they almost drowned as a teen. This very memory can prevent them from experiencing cruises, even ones that only last an hour or two. Now, I know about this personally because my mom almost drowned when she was a child, and literally she kind of put that stigma on us, to always be fearful of water. So in pools, stuff like that, we're fine. But when it comes to like oceans and all of that, we all have like a little fear of it because of how terrifying it was to know that our mother experienced that as a child and her telling us as a child. So I try to be aware in every interaction I have with a person. I don't have to know what their perception is, just that it will always be different than mine in some ways. A personal example is my sisters and I all growing up in a single parent household, but having different experiences, right? So even though we had the same mom, we were under the same roof, me being 2.5 years older than my little sister, and then up to 10 years older, almost 10 years older than my baby sister, we all had different experiences. My mom was a different mom to each of them. Of course, my mom wasn't the same stern parent as she was with me, with my sister, who is now 24. She was like a daisical, as they said it, by the time they got to the baby, because they already been through the hoops and, the hards, the ups and downs, the easy times. So they kind of, just are winging it, or is very easygoing when it comes to the babies. And if you are oldest child, you already know this, but everybody does not have the ability or know that they have the ability to see things beyond their scope if they're open to it. So a perfect example could be our faith and religion, spirituality, etc. Those who are religious and those who are not both have unwavering perceptions, typically until something drastic happens to change that. So we've all seen on TV somebody that had a near-death experience and they were atheists, but they literally went to the gates of heaven and God told them, it's not your child, it's not your time, child, go back, and now all of a sudden they're a devout Christian or Catholic or whatever the case may be. Yes, that might have been a little dramatic, but you know what I mean. You get the gist of what I'm saying. So a lot of times it's, we have the capability to look at things differently, but we simply choose not to. And in some situation, it's not even a choice. It's automatically, just acting off of how you were stimulated. So, one thing that I've been learning is to not be so hyper when I feel away. So good or bad, positive, whether I'm upset or happy or whatever, I tend to get a little aggressive or like, oh my God, what? Always doing all this stuff. And I didn't really notice it until one of my friends pointed it out to me. They said typically, you could tell when you're pushing my buttons because I have that, even my voice changes. It's like, what? What do you mean by that? And it's like, wow, I literally would give it away that, how I was feeling was changing or that I might have been threatened by something that happened or something that people said. So, I just went back and, journaled and tried to figure out, why do I act that way? Why do I respond that way when someone might challenge me and stuff like that? And, it's all for me. It's all learning patience. My son, of course, has taught me tremendous patience, but I don't really have a lot of patience for people, or should I say I didn't at one point. Very low tolerance for stupidity, ignorance, all of that stuff. But all of us are ignorant in some way. And I said all that to say, and, I'm very intelligent in some ways, and I could be like a dumb blonde in others. So who am I, to talk about this or that when in some situations or based on situations, it might determine me being the same thing that I say, that I don't care for, I have a low tolerance for. So, you just have to think about that. We all have to remember that we are human and that, with healing or trying to be a better person, you don't just get an award one day like, oh, this goes to Tonya for being a wonderful person, at the age of 40 and then, be okay with that for the next 40 years of my life. Like, no, by the time that I'm 80, I want to know that I changed and evolved into a different person at that time as well. So never look at your perception as being in the box. It's basically a house with all windows. And it's ever evolving. So my perception might have changed now because of my wellness journey and, me just tapping into myself more and being more aware of my surroundings and stuff like that. But this new perception might be the same perception for me in 5 years. It might not be the same perception for me in a year, because as you develop experiences and go through things, your perception is going to continuously evolve. So, again, like I always say, it's not a race, it's a marathon. And soon as we get to one level, we're going to have new hurdles, speed bumps, new things to conquer on that new level. So just because you leveled up doesn't mean that, the lessons are going to end. You're going to continuously keep learning and keep being able to add stuff to your experiences, hence to your perceptions, because you, are absorbing different things. So with me beginning my wellness journey in life, it opened my eyes to all sorts of things, and it still does daily. I consider myself one that was very relatable and able to agree to disagree. But boy, was it heaps of information I never even thought of looking into once I tapped into my wellness journey and what that was for me. And once I did that, my life started to change and hasn't stopped since. And I look forward to it not stopping. I feel as though it shouldn't stop until the day that I go, So again, it's all about experiences and just knowing that you shouldn't want to limit the experiences that you have in life or where you go in life simply because of something unknown. You know what I mean? Like, we all at one point didn't know something, we had to learn it. And now it's second nature. Riding a bike, swimming, brushing your teeth, showering, the way that you like to do your hair, washing clothes, the way that you like to clean your house. the things that you like to buy, the things that you like to do. All of this was developed. All of this stuff was learned. You just didn't wake up one day like, oh, I like this and that's it. No, this was all different experiences that led you to the conclusion of what you like, what your preferences is, and things like that. So sometimes we get so hung up on people listening, that we're not hearing what's not being said. A lot of the times it's not about people listening, and the words that are coming out of their mouth is comprehension. And if a person cannot comprehend, then it's nothing you say matters, because they cannot comprehend that. And again, I think that the comprehension comes and goes back into perception, because if I have a person that is not understanding where I'm coming from, and I'm talking in layman terms and all that stuff, they cannot comprehend what's being said. Hence, they are not able to perceive it from my shoes or my point of view, right? And vice versa. So you have to remember that the way that people act is a reflection of them, and the way that you react is a reflection of you. And, that's just like somebody flipping you off when you're driving, like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to speed until I get a ticket, or all this extra stuff. Like, do not let people and their perceptions or what they're doing in life pour into you or affect you. And I've gotten to the point where if I'm around people and I'm not feeling their energy, or I feel like they're doing a lot of malicious things, and that because I'm around them and I'm aware of it, that it might pour into me, I'm going to put a little bit of distance. I'm going to put an imaginary lifespan. That's me putting my arms out. And as I turn around with my arms out, that is my lifespan. Please do not come into my space unless you are invited. But I don't want that. Like, we're getting older, and a lot of times we have to take responsibility in our parts, or the part that we play with the people around us and their fuckery and the stupid stuff that they do, and at the end of the day, I look at it like it's no losses, it's just lessons. But if I'm consistently around my friend and she's a klepto and she steals everywhere we go, why would I think that eventually she wouldn't steal from me? Why would I think that eventually she wouldn't steal from those that I love, or whatever personal spaces I might have brung her into because she's a damn klepto? Why wouldn't I think one day that and about that she's not going to try to steal with me, and as she's coming to my car, they're running down on me as well because my friend is a klepto, and now I'm a part of that because she's getting into my car? Or it might already be stolen stuff in my car that I didn't know about because we were shopping, right? You have to take accountability for the things that you do and the situations that you put yourself in. And a lot of times we might not necessarily know that we're putting ourselves in a certain situation, or we're doing certain things that are less than for us. And that's, again, where discernment comes in. That's where boundaries come in. If I know that my friend is a klepto, that friend is not invited into my house, that's not a friend. You can do whatever you want in your own time, but I don't want that pouring over to me. Now if that friend, and again, it's all situational, because let's say, for instance, that friend was stealing because she had absolutely nothing. She spent her last dimes making sure there was a roof over her child's head, and she doesn't get any help from anybody, been begging for help, but she went into the store and stole some milk for her baby. That's different. Now, stuff like that, if I would have known about it, of course, we ain't stealing nothing, honey. I'm going to go get that milk for you and your baby, okay? But it's a lot of people as adults, they're not taking accountability of their lives, and hence they sitting here and they telling you all this stuff, all this, all that, and now that energy is going over, spilling over to you. I don't want nobody else's karma. I got enough of my own. You know what I mean? It's straight like that. And a lot of times people don't realize that trauma, baggage, experience, whatever you want to call it, shapes our perception. It is up to us to know when to put those shades on and when to take them off, right? So I'm not about to sit here and just beat somebody down because they might not see things the way that I see it. But if you care for that person and you say something and they seem open to it, then I do feel like it's a duty of ours to be open with that person, because a lot of times people aren't told, look, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be that way. You can live your own life. You could do what it is that you want. If you opened your mind a little more, if you had a growth mindset, like a lot of people never even heard of this stuff. They haven't even heard of this stuff. So maybe that was what you were supposed to do. Just, let them know that it was a whole nother world, and that if they're open to it, to tap in. And that might be the only reason why you might have, had a connection with that person for whatever time. But, put it out there. And I'll put it out there all the time. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to continue to, entertain it, but I will let you know how I feel, what my opinion is, and you take it from there. I have friends from all walks of life, so I try my best not to judge, but all in all, sometimes, we all have judgment in some way. There's no way to know that you like something or don't like it if you haven't judged it, but that's just within me. I'm not judging you. I just feel like if you're doing anything to affect me, then that's where the problem is. But as long as you're not affecting me, by all means, love, light, and healing to you and yours and everybody else. I don't hold no grudges. I have my blinders on and I'm following my path and what I need to do as tone motivates and nobody else. Okay. If there is something that I see that I like about a person, then yes, I will study them. I'm interested in them. I'm intrigued. I want to get to know more. I'm a research person. I'm an input person. So anytime that I like something, I'm going to find out why. If I don't like it, I'm going to find out why. And that's just how I am. That's how I tick. So I never look at somebody envious. I look at them like, oh, that's goals for sure. Like, tell me more. I open my eyes to something new that I learned today. I look forward to that every single day. I learn something new today. I love that. It's all about growth. And to me, that's self-care. That's me loving on myself because I'm consistently open. And even though that I am a leader and a teacher, I am also consistently a student. And I give respect where it's due. I have people in my circle that look up to me for different things. And I look up to them, for different things, and it's like, it's not necessarily that we're on different levels. Well, we are, but we're on different levels with different things, so even though I might be on level 2 in one thing and level 4 in another, you might be on level 5 in one thing and level 1 on another. You know what I mean? So it's that give and take. It's that yin and yang. So I always tell all the people that I care for, even though, you appreciate everything that I might do to you or do for you, the seeds that I help plant, the ideas that I help you come up with and stuff like that. I appreciate you as well in different ways because you also make me think. You help me become better and all that stuff. So it's just a give and take. And that's how it should be in any kind of relationships. You shouldn't be given expecting to receive, but that's how you nurture each other. That's how you feed each other. That's how you grow, regardless of the type of relationship that you might have. So I consistently strive to be as fluid as I can while standing in my boundaries, beliefs, and expectations with myself and others. Now, I genuinely try not to have no expectations of anyone, but I will tell them what my expectations is. And that's to you at that point, whether you want to deal with it or not, but you can't sit here and think you're going to treat me any kind of way when I clearly told you what is and what is not. Okay, so it's just as simple as that. And sometimes we stay around people and situations when we know we should have been left. And the main thing is following yourself, being true to yourself, being able to discern and know that you deserve better or you should not be here in this environment, knowing that you feel funny, when you walked into a room or whatever like that, but you still stayed there and then you wonder why things went left because you should have been left. So again, it's perception, because if we were tapped in and we were paying attention, our perception would have told us to get the hell out of there. Ain't that much of a good time that's going to jeopardize my peace, period. And unfortunately, everyone we come in contact with is in different stages in their life, and some rather hold on to their perceptions than to let them go and walk into the unknown. I consistently pray and send love, light, and healing to all those that are broken and limited in their belief in themselves and others. I pray that they are able to find true happiness, peace of mind, and able to fill their cup one day and every day after. I do not judge, but again, I discern and set boundaries, and my expectations are clear. You heard? Don't play with yourself. And most importantly, don't let other people think that they could play with you, okay? Because some people know what you are. Whether you know or not, they know. And their whole job is to keep you in the unknown. So we have to understand sometimes that we have all these challenges in these different people wrapped in different wrappers because we're not paying attention and we ain't learned from that lesson. So it's like, all right, round 2, all right, round 3, round 4. We could keep going until you learn that lesson. So sometimes it's simple as saying, all right, well, what's the point of me going back and forth with this person when they obviously don't get where I'm coming from? It has to boil down to comprehension and perception and all of these things. Let me leave it where it's at. What you working yourself up for? High blood pressure, sweating, hoarse, because you're yelling back and forth when this person don't even get what you're saying to begin with. Keep your energy for those that are for you. Pour into the people that pour into you. And not to say that, if a person does not have your perception that they're not worthy of being in your presence and your company and all of that. But I simply want to be around people that look forward to change, look forward to changing, look forward to evolving. If I ever talk to somebody and they straight up tell me like, oh, I don't want to do nothing, I'm going to be the same person, I ain't changed, like, and that's part of my healing process too, forgive me, Lord. But I don't like that. You know what I mean? Because we consistently change. And I couldn't imagine being the age that I am now, still acting like I'm 21. What? Number one, I was a hot mess, so it's for different reasons. But I couldn't imagine. 21, brand new baby. You know what I mean? Like, I could not imagine having the same mentality that I had back then right now. And I don't want it. You know, I don't want the mentality that I had 3 years ago right now, the mentality that I had a year ago right now. And I hope, you know, by next year, I can say the same thing consistently over and over again, keep being able to say the same thing, because I know that I have the power to shape my life the way that I want it to be shaped. And when I'm conscious of that and putting in the effort and the work, you ain't going to tell me it's not going to happen. And if it didn't, it's because something was better for me. All right. So y'all think on that. Now, we love to hear of your experiences you may have had with those with opposite perceptions than you. Tap and tell us your thoughts. Y'all hear me talk every damn week. We want to hear from you too. Now, as always love. To respond to a question, make a suggestion for an episode, to be a guest, or give feedback, reach out to us at info@tonemotivates.com. You can also find us on social media at Tone Motivates on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and at Shades of Tone _podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And as always, you can find us at tonemotivates.com, where all of those links are as well.